Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers and Zinnia Wealth. Online, as always, zinniawealth.com, Zinnia wealth.com. I encourage you to go there today, tool around a little bit, learn more about Charisse and the team. Again, zinniawealth.com is the website, or 833-368-3680. All right, got a list here for you to Charisse. I love lists. Here we go. David Letterman made a living on lists, and we're not doing too bad either. List of 5 mistakes to avoid before retirement. I'm going to run them down real fast here, and then we'll go through them one at a time.
Just do one at a time.
Oh, we'll do one at a time. Okay, here we go.
Keeps me focused.
All right. Taking on too much risk, trying to make up for lost time. Okay, this is a big one. You're in your 50s, and you take a look at your 401k, and you go, that's not enough. I got to get more money. So what happens here, Charisse?
So I see it all the time, not just once in a while, but all the time. So you're 1 year before retirement. Maybe you're even 5 years before retirement. 3 years, it doesn't matter. Somewhere between 1 to 5 years. All of a sudden, you're taking this astronomical amount of risk because you're like, okay, markets seem good. Everything's good. We got a new president. And you take a risk level that is uncanny. I would just say, no way. Because let's say you're going to retire in 2 years and you got $1 million. And then the market starts going down. You can't take back that risk. You're going to watch your account to go down. So now your million is 800,000. Is that drop going to keep you from retiring? It's always my question. Now, if you have $1 million and it's been 2 years of a market decline and you lost and you're down, your million's down to $500,000, well, would that stop you from retiring? Yeah, you will be working 5 more years to get back to even, maybe 3, just depending how much you dump back in. And so do not take astronomical risk 5 years before retire. Build a plan, because a lot of people, Randy, they don't understand that they can actually move their, if you're 59 and a half and older, 9 out of 10 times you can move your 401ks from your employer to a local advisor into an IRA, no penalty, no taxes, and we can start working on the plan with those dollars. Now, the stuff you leave behind, and you can still contribute to the 401k because you can still do that. You know, if you want that to be high flyer risky, that we'll call that your risky portfolio. But let's build in the plan so we have some risk, because some of our money is for growth. Some of our money is going to be for income. Some of our money is going to be for inflation. There could be a legacy bucket, right? So we want to build that out accordingly. So do not take that much risk before you retire, because I've seen it not always prevail. And I remember what happened in 2007. I watched this happen. That's the only reason why I can tell you this for fact. And I was still young in this industry, and I let it happen, and I didn't know, and I didn't force or twist arms like, hey, we're too risky. I'm like, yeah, go, right? And 20 years later, I know some stuff, right? I've seen some retirements derailed. I saw so many people not retire and have to work 5 to 7 years longer in 2007, 8, and 9.
Well, number 2 on the list is having investments that have no access to your money. Don't lock my money up, Charisse. I got to get to my money. Yeah, you should have that conversation with your advisor. Talk to me a little bit about, and this is the financial word they say, is liquidity. I need to be able to get to my money.
So let's say you have $1 million. My question to you is this. You're going to have some money in probably stocks, some in dividend stocks, some in bonds, some exchange traded funds or index funds, maybe a couple of annuities, maybe a couple of structured notes. So each one of those investments has a liquidity timeline. Stocks and bonds, typically, you can get in and out very quickly, right? Exchange traded funds, those things. But let's just say you came to Zinnia, we put you into one of our 1-year structured note or a 2-year structured notes. And then you have access after the 1 year or 2 year. So you're thinking, oh, I can't take my money for 1 or 2 years out of those dual directional notes. I was like, no, I mean, we could, but we don't want to.
Substantial penalty for early withdrawal.
Yeah, sometimes, not always, actually. So just depend the timing of everything. But I ask everyone this. Let's take $1 million, and let's say we put $500,000 in bonds and stocks and exchange traded funds. We have access to that any day. And the other $500,000, let's say we put $300,000, we split that up. We put $150,000 in a 1-year note, the other $150,000 in a 2-year note, knowing those dollars were going to be ready in 1 year to 2 year. And maybe we took the remaining $200,000 and put it in a 10-year annuity, right? Where you can take 10% a year from it annually. My question to you is this, the liquidity issue. If you have $500,000 liquid and the other $500,000 is tied up over the next, 1, 2, 3, 10 years, my question is, do you intend on writing a check to anyone or spending that $500,000 that's buttoned up for a year or two or longer to anyone?
Probably
And
not.
the answer is
Yeah.
no. And I was like, well, your 401k and IRAs have always been locked in for years. You've never been able to spend all that money. So what makes the difference? In retirement, the difference is we have to be strategic, right? We can't have it all in the stock market because that is a guaranteed loss. It's also potentially a guaranteed win. We just don't know when the wins and losses are coming. So this is why you strategize with some of these guaranteed fixed rates, some of these structured notes where you can make money going up and down potentially, with some of these annuities that's your safe haven, whether it's an income annuity or just a growth annuity. So there's so many strategies out there, and there's actually more than that, by the way. We're just being very cookie cutter right now. So don't be afraid to tie some of the money up. Just make sure you understand the rules. Make sure you understand how much you can make potentially in those. And I think as long as you understand that and those disclosures, you'll probably be fine, because you're like, I'm never going to write a $500,000 check to anybody.
Probably not. You're listening to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. We're going through the 5 mistakes to avoid before retirement. Number 1, don't take too much risk at the end, thinking you're going to hit a home run and really knock it out of the park in the last couple of years. That can be a problem. Having investments that have no access to your money. Number 3 is continuing to invest like you're 40. So, Charisse, we've had the conversation many times when people come in, they're 65, and they've never touched their portfolio. They've never touched their 401k since they've been 25. They've just been packing money in there, and now we have to make a change. So that's a risk conversation. But there are other conversations.
Yeah.
You are not 40 years old anymore. Your mind shift should be, now I'm going to start using money instead of start packing money away. That's a different dynamic, isn't it?
It really is. So it's interesting. When we stress test retirement plans, we are sitting across this conference table from a 60-year-old, a 65-year-old. And when we show the report, what we see is on paper, they are invested like they're 30, but they're sitting there and they're about to be on Medicare. Yep. Should you be invested like you are 30 years old? And the answer is 9 out of 10 times no. And so, but what happens when we talk to them about that, they're like, I didn't know it. So we'll push the binder over. We'll say, do you see that right here? If we have a stock market crash, you could lose 40%, 45. I've seen it go all the way to 55, and their jaws drop, and they don't even realize the risk that they're taking. And so sometimes you just want to take the risk, but more times than not, you don't even know you're taking that kind of risk. So you want to make sure you know what you got. Even if you think you know what you got, always get a stress test by somebody else just to make sure, right? And I think that's the key to making sure your advisor is championing for you, because you just want to make sure they're not taking too much risk, and then spot check it.
The other part of this conversation too, Charisse, is you got to, as a 60, 65-year-old person and in your retirement, start to think about taxes. Because if you're 40 years old and you're packing money in, that's really what you're doing. There's no tax problems, because this is all tax deferred money. You just keep packing it into a 401k or whatever it is. But when you start taking that money out, now becomes Uncle Sam's hand reaching in there and saying, I get my share now. And that is a big part of the planning process. So not only accessing your money, but accessing it smartly so you don't get a big tax bill in retirement.
Yeah, that's key. A lot of people walk in and they have an IRA and 401k, and that's a big chunk of their money. And then they tend to have a brokerage account with 100, 200,000 on average, and sometimes a Roth with 50,000 or 100,000. And the big question is, okay, your biggest part of your retirement plan is fully taxable, and you are forced to pull money out of these accounts when you're 73, and every year that percentage gets higher and higher. Like, it gets really just ridiculous. And so we want to show people, hey, if you move this now, before your tax burden gets astronomically heavy as a married couple, let alone a single person, if somebody passes away earlier, we can show you the path, because it is exciting to see. And it tends to also show that we leave a bigger legacy. So we got to work on the tax plan as well.
You're listening to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers as we go through the 5 mistakes you should avoid before retirement. Number 1, taking on too much risk, trying to hit the ball out of the park right before retirement and really making up for lost time. Number 2, having investments where you have no access to your money. Number 3, continuing to invest like you're a 40-year-old. And number 4 is not knowing your personal expenses. I know a lot of us go through life and the money comes in and I spend and it comes in and I spend and I don't pay too much attention. As long as I go to the ATM and there's enough money there, I'm fine. But then you get into retirement. We got to kind of dig down here a little bit, don't we, Charisse?
We do. I have had a couple of people over the last couple of months come in and I'm like, you guys are really living up life. And it was one of their first appointments and they have maybe 2 homes and they're snowbirds. And one couple that sticks out, I think they had about $150,000 in income. I was like, did you bring your expense report in, like, so I can see where your expenses are, where everything's going? Oh, no, we don't do that. We just spend what comes in, comes out. And I'm just like, I'm such a math geek. I'm like, I would have to know what my expenses are.
Yeah.
Especially if somebody were to pass away and then I'm stuck with the bill and we lose some income and now taxes go up and just knowing where we're at. But they said they would work on it for me. And it was a big ask. I could tell. They're like, oh, we got to be accountable to you, Charisse. Right. And so I chuckled. And you definitely want to know your expenses, where you stand. When do things fall off? So then you know, hey, we might be able to spend more here, and as you're strategizing with your advisors.
Yeah, there's certain bills that we have in our life, like maybe your car insurance bill that you pay once a year. Well, what is that per month? You have no idea. There's things that you might pay quarterly. There's things that you pay, you don't think about your Netflix bill and your Spotify bill and all these different things that you pay in subscriptions. And when you add all it up, it just gets eye-opening going, holy cow, look where all the money's going. And you really should know that. That is a part of the retirement planning process. Number 5 on the list of things to avoid before retirement is not knowing your finish line. And I thought about that for a minute, Charisse, and it became clear to me when I go and look at headlines and I go like through Yahoo Finance, there are so many people that are writing in, I saved 1.2 and these are my expenses. Can I retire? I saved this. Can I retire? I'm in this position. Can I retire? And they all want to know, can I retire? When can I retire? And that seems to be a big deal. Do people come through the door to you and literally throw the papers down and say, can I retire? Is that how some of this goes?
Yes, okay. I do. They're like, give me good news.
Yeah.
And yeah, so a lot of people will come in. I'm envisioning right now 3 clients that came in last year and they did that very thing. They're just like, I'm skunked. I'm done. Please tell me I can retire, Charisse. And it's just a lovely way to start our relationship and conversations. It's so much fun. And I can take a glance and I usually know, but I won't tell them right away. I'll make them sweat it a little bit till they come in for a second appointment. And it depends on your wishes and, what things are coming in. But I remember this, they're doing so well. This one couple, they retired, they worked in the community, they saved so much money. They did so well. And I knew they would have a hard time spending. But they just came in and they're like, yeah, we bought an RV. We got this Alaska cruise. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're listening to me. They're like, yeah, we listen to you every week still. It's like, we know if we come in for our review, Charisse, and if we haven't started spending, you're going to be getting honest. So we want to impress you. And I was like, really? I was like, that was so cool. So for me, just knowing when the finish line is, can you retire now? Do we have to wait 2 years? Do we have to wait 5 years? Is a spouse going to continue to work longer? Like, what is the plan? Are we going to work part-time and work? When do we collect Social Security? Hey, this Medicare thing, do I have to wait to retire when I do Medicare at 65, or can I do it now and afford the insurance? And just knowing all those what ifs. I mean, come on. It is good stuff to know where you stand, right? And y'all know it. So I know everybody has busy lives. My own attorney, I have not seen him personally for something I have to finish up for 6 months. So I'm just as bad as everybody else out there. And I have to get this thing done in my trust. And I keep putting it off. I just don't have time. I'm working in the office. I don't have time to swing by. But I have to make that hour time to swing by. Like, it's really critically important. Like, if I died, there'd be one person in my trust that would be getting something that I don't want them to get right now.
Got it. Yeah.
So, right. So I want you guys to do that. I want you to say, do a little work on yourself. This is planning and betting on yourself and getting control. That's all this is.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Coffee Talk podcast. If you have questions or would like to begin the process of building a tailored retirement plan, call Zinnia Wealth at 833-368-3680 or find us online at zinniawealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. The firm only conducts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Insurance products are offered through Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC, Florida license L078655, and Charisse Rivers, Florida license P037744. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, and Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC are affiliated entities. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. The information presented is not an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy or sell any of the securities discussed. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Any legal or tax information provided in this podcast is general in nature. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Any client experience discussed on this show are unique to that client. Annuity and life insurance guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. If you withdraw money from or surrender your contract within a certain time after investing, the insurance company may assess a surrender charge. Withdrawals may be subject to tax penalties and income taxes. Persons selling annuities or other insurance products receive compensation for these transactions. These commissions are separate and distinct from fees charged for advisory services. Insurance products also contain additional fees and expenses. Social Security rules and regulations are subject to change at any time. Always consult with your local Social Security office before acting upon any information provided herein. References to specific investments should not be construed as being past specific recommendations. The returns for various indices discussed in this podcast do not represent the performance of the firm or any of its advisory clients. Returns do not reflect the impact that advisory fees will have on an investment. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All investment strategies have potential for profit or loss. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. Historical performance returns for investment indexes and or categories usually do not deduct transaction and or custodial charges or advisory fees, which would decrease historical performance results. There are no guarantees that a portfolio will match or outperform a specific benchmark. Investments in fixed income products are subject to liquidity risk, market risk, index rate risk, credit risk, inflation risk, purchasing power risk, and taxation risk. Because bond prices fluctuate continually, their yields change constantly.